Hi, I'm Ann Brack here.
I'm Jon Boss.
And we're here to talk to you about the ministry of being a Eucharistic minister at ANHT.
Ann asked me to talk a little bit about how I got involved and what this means to me. And it's a little bit of Bill Daniels, who was our rector when I was in the 6th grade. At that point in time, we used to have something during Lent and Advent, as a matter of fact, every afternoon after school. And so we got involved in reading, attending, listening to the Word. Many of us got into junior choir, and that sort of led to the next step, which she said, I need people to serve with me at the altar. So I was asked. And I began that process, and I've done it ever since in many, many places. It led to me then, as I mentioned in Connections this month, it led to me then doing work at Denison University, at St. Luke's there in Granville, and then, of course, when I was in school here in a high school, I did things like doing comp line and youth services after Sunday afternoon service. So it's all a part of learning to be part of God's work in the service, in the church. I think it's one of those things that you're called to do. Some people can do it easily. It took a while for me to have the courage to step up. And I would suggest that people who may want to serve, start serving at the station, where it's not quite imposing. You're not wearing a vestment, and you're not quite behind the altar except for a minute or two, and it's not quite as challenging to you at the first time around. So start, as many churches do, start at serving, say, at the station, at the chancel steps. It's an easy thing to do, and you feel part of doing God's work and sharing in the bread and the wine, which goes back to the supper before Christ was crucified.
And as for me, I started in 2006 in the Diocese of Ohio when Dean Rich Demarest was asking for people who felt called to be lay ministers. And I couldn't believe that he would consider me for something like that, especially because Gracie was only 6 at the time, so how in the world can I do this? But I am so glad that I took the invitation, that I'm a little bit of a liturgy junkie, and I love being part of the worship, and to actually have the chance to be at the altar giving the body and blood to others, that there is that moment when I can feel that I'm present, the other person is present, and God is present, and I just love that feeling of love and being there in the moment. And it's one of my favorite things that I do as part of worship for me.
It's a sharing of ourselves as part of our ministry. As you've heard me say in the past, and Eric has repeated that, picking that up in the Book of Common Prayer, we're all ministers by reason of our baptism, and we can carry out in different ways. So I invite you to ask questions, come see us, Ann, see me, see Eric, see Carol, Maggie, and talk about whether or not you would like to do it. And if you, as I say, if you're a little hesitant about being vested in behind the altar and so forth, start out by just wearing your regular clothes or your worship clothes and serving at the chancel steps.
Thank you, and I'd love to talk to you more about this.